It also requires that any law enforcement who are investigating the county audit reason notify our office in case there was an election nexus to it. And in return, if our office is the one being investigated, then the governor's office would be notified. Division 2 provides a path to remove pending, unconfirmed, incomplete voters. Right now, any voter that's in that status will just stay in that status forever. There's not a mechanism to remove it. So after 90 days of notice, if the auditors didn't hear back from those voters, they can go ahead and be canceled. Division 3 is a clarification on the recount bill from last year, which was when it was passed, there was a threshold set at 50 votes or 1% difference between the apparent winner and the second place candidate. That created an issue with public measures that require 60% passage rate. So this bill clarifies that 50 votes or 1% applies to the 60% threshold and not the difference between votes. Division 4 has a technical change with federal agencies. It requires a voting equipment to be sealed year-round, not just times before the elections. Division 5, at the request of the auditors, last year, the law was in place that required absentee votes to be convened by 9 a.m. on election day. This changes that, so it's only statewide and federal elections where that takes place. So in smaller elections, auditors have more flexibility when they actually call the ASVP board in. And Division 6 changes the nomination and objection process for city and school elections. Under this bill, intended filings would be with the counties rather than the school secretary or the city clerk. And the objection would also be heard at the county.
Representative Harris, do you mind if I ask a question?
Let's, if you don't mind, I'm gonna let them go around and then we'll turn it over to questions. That's okay.
Yes, Jim Carney. I'm here with the Auditors Association. I'd like to introduce Ann, who's Sarah Pardo, auditor and legislative liaison for the association. We're in support of the legislation. So Ann.
Morning. Yes, just like to reiterate that Adam Wentworth, Sarah County Auditor, and we are registered in support of this bill. It's making some timely tweaks to the current election law. It does clean up some of the things that we have found over the last few elections, and except we are in support of this, and so it does have to think it does make some improvements. Answer any questions you want.
Cody Carlson with Iowa League of Cities. I believe we're registered on the side of the bill. Just as a portion that we just want to get some clarification. Historically, commissioners have been able to deputize city clerks or to elect the school board officials for the purpose of filing on these election papers. And so we appreciated that as a way for city clerks specifically to work with their election commissioners. Particularly in places we have to drive significantly, can be actually more efficient, frankly, for city clerks to be able to be deputized under that form of the process. So striking that, we have a little bit of concerns about that are registered officially this time.
Anybody else? All right, Representative Zadner.
Yeah, I just have a question about section 2 here, the cancellation. Can you explain what happens now? I mean, someone who has an incomplete voter registration, you said it lasts forever. They go in to try and vote. What happens?
So anybody that's had, once they cure the issue right now, they go ahead and reactivate it in the system. Functionally, it wouldn't be really any different because even after they cancel, they can go in and just re-register.
Sure.
So, but I don't know if that is or add that.
Yeah, so it's essentially when we receive the voter registration form that is not complete, we would process that voter as an incomplete status. So it's like we start the process, but they aren't technically registered yet, and they sit there forever in our system. Now, let's say if that voter were to come in and complete that application, maybe provide the missing information, we would then process that and they'd be a registered voter. This new bill would allow us to cancel that registration after a period of time. And so if that voter shows up to actually cast a ballot, they would just do the same thing that they were going to do anyways. So it cleans up the people, and it still allows every person to do that same thing with election day registration.
Thank you.
Randy, do you have any questions?
Yeah, can you just go back and just explain the section of the 1% applies to 60% threshold?
Sure, so, for, the way the recount were changed last year, if there's a difference, a recount we call if, there's a difference between the first and second place vote-getters of 50 votes or 1%. We saw a few issues, on public measures that require 60% to pass. And the question was raised, is that 50%, and is that 50, votes, 1% threshold apply to difference, in that sort of public measure, in which case there never, count, on it, or should it apply to, 50, 1%, within that 60%?
Thank you.
I do have a question on moving the filing for city and school candidates to the county auditor. I'm supportive of that provision. Say you got, obviously, school districts aren't bound by county, they overlap across county lines, say things in some cases with cities. How would that be then, say if you got half the city in one county and the other half?
So we're used to handling this situation anyways, because school districts obviously are going to cover or can cover multiple counties. Not all do, but the majority do, as we see more regionalization and consolidation of school districts. So what that happens in those situations is one county is designated as the control county. And that is calculated based on taxable valuation at the beginning of that year. So that's a static county typically from year to year. And so when we get into the situation of a school election, that control county is one who's responsible for creating the list of all of the candidates, certifying those candidate lists to all the other counties. So if a candidate lives in county B, but the control county is county A, that candidate will be able to file their papers in essence with either county. They won't have to travel to that other county outside of their normal county to file papers. That candidate would be able to file their nomination papers in their own county, and then that's non-controlled county auditor would immediately transfer those papers to that control county. So with today's technology, electronically, we're communicating with our neighboring counties all the time. So we would receive that information, and that control county would then be able to validate that and then create that master list of candidates, if you will, and file. So it just continues what we're already doing, is working between the counties that do share jurisdictions. Good job.
Any other questions or comments? Subcommittee?
So I think Iowa has safe and secure elections. This seems like fixes to a couple of important problems, and I'm happy to sign them.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Representative Zabner. I'm going to be recommending that we pass this onto the full committee for consideration. Happy to work with you guys on any potential changes. With that, I think probably the most important provision of this bill is that last part, moving the filing for city and school elections to county auditor. Elections in the past, especially in this last election, I think there was roughly 15 to 20 cities and school districts where that paperwork wasn't filed on time. Those voters were disenfranchised from being able to actually have a name on the ballot to vote for someone. That happened in my district in Lasky, where nobody was on the ballot for city mayor because the city clerk didn't turn the paperwork on time. So we're going to keep working on it. Today, we're going to pass the bill out of subcommittee onto the full committee, and the subcommittee is adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.